So we're going to solve this problem. It says x minus 58 equals negative 90. Now, the fact that it's negative, of course, we're going to have to go back to some negative rules, and that's okay. Not that that sounds weird. Okay, here's how I show my work with this. So I know that I'm going to be applying principles of equality. Now, that means that my equal sign, I can bring it down directly like this, but then I'm going to draw a line directly beneath the entire equation so that I know if I do something, let's say I do something to the right side, then I know I got to do it to the other side of this line. This line helps me to keep track of the work that I'm doing. But since it's principles of equality, if I do it on one side, I got to do it the other side. So for me, it's purely an organization thing. Do you have to do it that way? Of course not. I would never force you to do that. So some students, they'll kind of show it on one side or the other, and then they'll be like, oh, I'm good, but they tend to make more mistakes. Again, I'm not going to force you to do it. So on this one, what I see is a subtraction right here. It's minus 58. Since I'm looking at either addition or subtraction, I know I'm going to need to make a 0. So if I can just get myself to make a 0, then I will know what I got to do to the other side. Specifically, well, I guess before I get to the specifics, I look at this and I think, well, I'm trying to solve for an x, right? I want to know what this value is, and maybe some of you guys could do it in your head, and that's pretty cool. What I would like to see from my final equation is x equals just a number, meaning I don't want to see anything added or subtracted to this x, and that way I can write it like this, just x. But that means that the minus 58 there is going to have to become a 0. Now that term by itself, I'm going to write it all out, is negative 58, right? Okay, so I've got negative 58 of something. How do I make a negative 58 a 0? Add 58. So that's the opposite thing, right? So I see that these numbers match. It's just they're kind of opposite signs right there. Well, they are opposite signs, negatives and positives. But again, I applied this plus 58. I put that there, which means I need, since I did it on the left, I also must do it on the right. So that's what I'm going to stick with right here. Now that allows me to drop the x because negative 58 plus 58, this is, I didn't circle that because I just love them so much. It's because that's a 0. It's a value of 0 right there. And I do not want to put, I don't want to put down here, I don't want to put a plus 0 because then it creates more stuff to get confused about. But now, on the right side, here we got a little work, right? We got negative 90 plus 58. Okay, well, we're adding opposite signs. We got a positive and a negative, and there's more negatives than positives, so I definitely know that my answer is going to be a negative. We did make that 0, by the way. Since they're opposite signs, I'm going to take the big number, 90, and subtract the small one, 58. So we're going to make that 10 minus 8 is 2, and the ones place value, 8 minus 5 would be 3. Now applying that negative, which we already knew was part of the answer, boom, this is what we get. And what I can do now that I have this, because I feel pretty good about that. Like, hey, that was some good work that we did right there. We made a 0. But we also added some opposites, and that's cool. Or nerdy, either way, maybe both. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the original equation, which was x minus 58 equals negative 90. Okay, what I'm doing right now is I'm going to check. So the reason why I'm doing this is just to make sure that my answer is correct. Because here's the thing is, if I can do this, and if I can do it right, which I don't always, but if I can do this right, then it's going to guarantee that I actually have found the solution. Because remember, the solution sits on a razor's edge. Anything bigger or smaller than the actual solution, anything in any amount will make it a false statement. But I need this to be true. So I'm going to check for truthfulness. I'm going to put a question mark over my equal sign by taking the x and replacing it with the value that we found, and that is negative 32. Now in this work, there's not really anything to do with the negative 90. That's good. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take negative 32 minus 58. It's a negative minus some stuff, which is just going to make it more negative. So that means we take the two numbers, 32 and 58, and add them together. So in the ones place value, 2 plus 8 is 10, carry the 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 5 is 9, and we get negative 90. Hey, that's true. Well, we checked it. We found that the value of x that we found, x equals negative 32, was true. Now I feel better about boxing this in, and now I just to celebrate, we'll call it a solution, because that's what it is. It's the only value in the original equation that makes it true.